Okay, I'll tell you, I think that if I would have realized that one day somebody's going to ask me to speak about Shalom Bayis, I may have reconsidered getting married. Because out of all the things I've ever spoken about through all the years, hi Mayor, I have to shout out to Mayor. How you doing? You have to have some of that sesame chicken, Mayor, don't forget. Anyway, so when Joey came to ask me to speak about Shalom Bayis, I was thinking about it and I said, it's just one of those things that I don't speak about. I don't feel that I'm an expert. So Joey said to me, well, you're married 40 years. So I said, yeah, that's true. I'm married 40 years. So I suppose that someone that's married for 40 years, that is something. And though I don't think I'm extra tzaddik, or I'm such a perfect husband, etc., I'll share with you some of the things that go through my mind about this very, very sensitive topic. I can't say one thing, that I don't know how much I know about Shalom Bayis, but unfortunately, I've been open to too many stories of divorce lately. And people have come to me and I try to help them a little bit to see their way. And it's such a terrible, terrible thing. Like people, they live in a world of an option. They think this is an option. They think that divorce is an option. It's not an option. It's terrible. It's terrible. Let me tell you some of the things that are like highlights in my mind when we talk about Shalom Bayis. I once heard there was a very, very wonderful person, a wonderful Jew that passed away, unfortunately, by the name of Rabbi Tauber. Rabbi Tauber, maybe you heard of him. He used to make seminars. So I went once to a seminar of his, and he was a Chassidish Yid. And he described how his children and grandchildren get married. They meet, the chassan meets the kala for a very, very short period of time, mamish a half an hour maybe, and that's it. And they say yes, and it works. For some reason it works. I myself don't understand it. I don't understand how it works. Everybody thinks that their way is the best way. But not that my children, they meet their spouses, 5 times, 10 times. But a half an hour, what do you see in a half an hour? So he says, I'll tell you, there's the difference between us and the Goyim, he says. He says, by the Goyim, they fall in love. And when they fall in love, they go and they get married. By us, we get married. And then we learn to love the person that we married. That was very, very profound. I enjoyed that. In other words, that means that when you're looking to get married, you're looking to find the person that you think it'll be easy for you to love, easier. That it won't be difficult for you to come to love her. But it doesn't mean that that has to be that you love, from the beginning, and that's why you marry that person. It just so happens that I have a certain Hasidic boy that I know is right now during this period of engagement. So somebody asked him, if you would see the girl in the street, if you would see your kala in the street, would you recognize her? He said, I don't think so. But again, according to the premise of Rabbi Tauber, it's not the end of the world. The most important thing is to be able to love the girl that you chose to marry. One of the things that I believe is such a terrible thing in our, unfortunately, all of us, including myself. When I was a kid, I was, I ran away from America. The reason, you want to know why I really ran away from America? I'll say it here live. I left America because I went to Yeshiva Tova Das. And the dormitory was in the building. The dormitory was in the building of the cheder. And when I was one day I was walking from the yeshiva to the dormitory, and I saw a little child going to the kindergarten with a lunchbox. And on the lunchbox, there was a picture of Charlie's Angels. And I thought, my gosh, Charlie's Angels, that can infiltrate the holy walls of Yeshiva Torah Das? I got to get out of here. This is not for me. I once met Rabbi Felman, the Rosh Yeshiva of Neveh Yisrael. He told me that the reason he left America that's the first time before he went back to be Rosh Yeshiva of Neveh Yisrael. But he said he once saw an advertisement for an electric back scratcher. So he said, if you need an electric back scratcher, you can't scratch your own back. He says, I got to get out of here. But that wasn't what did it for me. What did it for me was the TV, just that the TV has such a grasp on a person. And anybody that watched TV, and now I think everybody that's listening will agree to me. Anybody that watched TV, his brain is maimed. His brain is maimed because he's seen over there the way relationships develop, and everything about the relationships on TV, it's all fantasy. It's not real. One of my favorite lines that I say to my students when I discuss these topics, I say, did you ever see in a TV show a woman diapering her baby? There's no such thing, a woman diapering her baby in a TV show? Never, ever. Because those are not the kind of women that you're being shown, right? You're being shown, I don't want to say the word, you're being shown objects. And we are in trouble because of that, because we want that our spouses should be able to match up to some dreams. You know, somebody came to me the other day to speak about a relative of mine that wanted me to intervene. And they started explaining to me how, you know, she wanted this kind of guy and he wanted that kind of girl. And, you know, they had dreams and the dreams were not fulfilled. So I'll tell you the honest truth, dreams are not always fulfilled. There's one place where I know I could promise you that the dreams are always going to be fulfilled. Exactly the way the dreams are, that's the way it's going to be when we go back to Tzia, when the Gula Shlema is going to come. But when we look for wives, and because we watch TV, or Chas v'Shalom Morris, I know myself, just because of the TV that I watched 45 years ago, I'm already nuts. I can't be, you got this craziness in your head. You can't get it out. So that's another thing that you have to bear in mind, that these things are evil. It's not good. And you know, we have to try to push those feelings out. You know, life is not, it's not Hollywood. You know, it's life is real. My wife is the mother of my 10 children. She carried 10 children for me. That's 90 months of pregnancy. When push comes to shove, if I'm sick, Chas v'Shalom, I know that there's only one person there for me. You know, there were times that I was sick over the years when I was younger. I had mononucleosis, I had hepatitis, sick, really, really sick. You know, hepatitis, you know, like the chickens came into the room, they already died, you know? And it's you for her and her for you. And, you know, it's very, 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 very intense feeling that, you know, she's there for you and you're there for her. Now, another thing we have to take into consideration is the way we treat our wives. You know, the Gemara says that a person has to be very, very careful in the way he speaks to his wife. Chazal teach us we have to be machabed our wives. It's all about kavod. A woman, it doesn't make a difference who she is. It doesn't make a difference if her name is Hillary Clinton. It doesn't make a difference if she's the Rosh Mמשhala. Today it's very, very popular that women should be the prime minister of so many countries in Europe, et cetera, et cetera. Women are, but they don't have anything without their husbands. Everything they get, the Torah teaches us, is from their husband. The eyes of a woman are always looking at her husband to see, because all the shefa that comes down from HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes down to the woman through the husband. So she can only hear goodness and pleasantries, and if she doesn't get that from her husband, she's got nowhere else to get it from, because what she doesn't get from her husband, she doesn't get. If the Gemara says in Yevomis, I highly recommend that you open up a Gemara Yevomis, anybody that can. Samech Beis Amud Beis 62b. The Gemara says over there, Kol Adam she'ein lo isha. Any person that doesn't have a wife, Shori b'loi simcha. He is without simcha. Shori b'loi bracha. He doesn't have bracha. Shori b'loi toiva. He doesn't have toiva. Can you imagine all these things? He doesn't have simcha. He doesn't have bracha. He doesn't have toiva. Of course, he doesn't have Torah. All the milas in the world that a person can have, they all come through the woman, right? The Gemara says, treat your wives with kavod, and that way you're going to be rich. All the bracha in the home comes through the bracha. In other words, she gets what she needs from us, but the bracha to the home, the bracha that we're going to get, all comes through her. I remember, watching my Rebbeim and seeing the way they were with their husbands, and the women were with their husbands, and the husbands were with the wife, to help out at home. I remember I ate once by Rav Pam, Zechorenu Livrocha, and I said, Rebbetzin, the kugel is very, very delicious. So he says, oh, the kugel, I didn't make the kugel. You have to tell Rabbi Pam. Rabbi Pam made the kugels. So, years later, I went to visit, and I told Rabbi Pam that I want him to write me a smicha. So Rabbi Pam says, Rabbi Pam, you have to go immediately, and you have to write a smicha for the young man. And, he was already the Gadol Ador at that time. And I remember saying at that time, tell me, does Rabbi Pam still make the kugels? Oh, no more. He doesn't make the kugels anymore, But it was just very honorable, the way they treated each other. Everything is menschlich, and we can't lose track of that at any given point. If you ever have a bad moment, chas v'sholom, I'm sure it doesn't happen to any of you, right? But at a bad moment, the Pele Yoyet says something fascinating that maybe will give you chizuk. The Pele Yoyet says that when a person has a difficult wife, so he is saved from Gehenna. And not only that, the Pele Yoyet says that if we would realize what it is, what a gewaldige segula it is for us, that how it's going to cleanse us from Gehenna, we would even ask for such a thing. Because when a person, so even at worst, when you have moments, difficult moments, you should know that you're controlling yourself and saving yourself. It saves you from Gehenna, and not only that, the Pele Yoyet says it saves people around you. Everybody around you is going to be saved in your schus. This is, my friends, you know that Arizal told you, Chaim Vital, that a person is not judged the way he behaves outside. He's judged how he behaves with his close ones at home. That's the real test. It's very nice to go outside and be everybody's favorite, rabbi or favorite, hancho. Yeah, but how do you behave when you're at home? Are you a mensch with your wife? Are you a mensch with your children? That's the real, that's where the big bucks are. So these are some of the things that I wanted to share with you. I'll say one Dvar Torah maybe that's relevant to this Indian, and then maybe if somebody has a question or two. It says in Parshas Chayesor at the end of the parsha, it says that Avram Avinu married Keturah, and then Keturah had children. And Rashi says that he gave them matanos to the children of the Keturah. Which matanos did he give over? He gave over the matanos that he had received from Paro Melech Mitzrayim and from Avimelech, Melech Plishtim. Those matanos, he didn't want it anymore, so he got rid of it. So it's a funny thing. Why did he give it over here? Just if he didn't want it, he should have given it over before. Could have kept it till now. So I explained as follows once. There's a big question. Why did he take those matanos anyway? Avram Avinu told Melech Zedom, I don't want anything of yours. I don't want that anybody should ever say that nobody should ever be able to say that Avram Avinu became rich because of me. So why did Avram Avinu take those matanos? So I believe that the answer is because those matanos he received because of Sarah. He told Sarah, say that you're my sister, because this way they'll be good to me. So he got the cattle and he got the houses and he got the avodim and he got all this stuff. And he looked at it and he said, you know why I got it? Oh, I got it because of Sarah. Sarah. Every time he looked at the cattle, he looked at the avodim, he looked at all the riches that he had picked up, he thought about the fact that Sarah had saved him. Sarah had gone and said that she's a sister. But now Sarah was dead. He had married Keturah already. So now it wasn't necessary anymore. So now he was able to get rid of those belongings. It wasn't necessary. He only kept them because he wanted to bring strength to the relationship that he had together with his wife, Sarah. Again, the mother of our children, she carried our children for so many months. She brought them up. She got up in the middle of the night. Just like we have a mitzvah of Ahavtas Hashem Elokecha, and the Rambam says we have to think of all the good things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for us, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu built such a beautiful world, created such a gorgeous world. We have to think of all the chasodim that our wives do for us. And Yetz Hashem, I hope that will bring us all closer. Bezras Hashem, and the Shekhinah should be shoyre, that should rest by every single one of us, all of us, in every single home, in every single Jewish home. We should be zocher to see Ashras Shekhinah. Anybody have any questions? Anybody wanted to discuss something? Joey?
Amen.
I'm allowing people to unmute. Anyone who has questions should ask away.
How
are ya?
Baruch Hashem.
Just want to say hi, Rabbi.
Hi, Ari. How are you?
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, Yaakov. How, Yaakov? Am I making sense, guys?
Yeah, I actually wanted to bring up a point. I read this book by Rabbi Arush. It's Breslov Chiddush. But the concept is that like if everything around us, everything that happens to us comes from Hashem, right? Our real only what's the word I'm looking for? Like things that we have control over is like our current or our actions like in the moment. So everything around us. So he says is that like the relationship with your wife, the things that your wife does to you, however you may look at it, good or bad, it's essentially a mouthpiece, like a directly from Hashem. Like Hashem is actively, and like there's a whole concept of like we speak logic and women speak more from
emotion,
right? So like the language doesn't really match up, and a lot of times it's like you're hearing something and you don't really understand it because it's a different language. But if you understand that it's Hashem speaking to you and that there's something underlining that Hashem is trying to tell you, you're going to react in a much different way. And he makes a comment. It talks about like people who have difficult wives and how that's like if you understood it from that standpoint, you would look at it as a bracha that like Hashem is trying to get you to work on something or to get you to become closer to Hashem, and that's he talks a lot about that.
I just want to shout out for Joey Apter, because I think it's a tremendous thing. Just the fact, like, I even feel that in the 20 minutes that I'm sitting with you guys, a half an hour and talking about it, I think it's mechazik, you know what I mean? And, I think it's no different than, let's say you got if a counselor has a group, a group therapy. And when we sit together and we talk about the issues, and I'm not saying there are no issues, believe me, I'm not saying that there are no issues. There are issues. I'll just give you an example, just that you should know I have a little life history, a little life experience. I remember once I was told to help up as a guy who he had a miserable wife. And it's interestingly enough, somebody was able to keep them together. They were separated for about 2 years, and somebody was able to keep them together, and they ended up having they had one kid at the time, and they ended up having another 5, 6 kids. And I think the marriage is still held together, mamish, with Scotch tape, but they're still together 20 years later. But at the time, he told me about how, he was like, this he's a balkoyer. A balkoyer every Shabbos morning, but he's one of these OCD balkoyer. You know what I mean? Every word is or and e and ah and eh, and like his wife, like she would want to get him, so she would steal his glasses before Kriyas Torah on Shabbos morning and hide his glasses, so he would have to go to shul without his glasses. Can you imagine such craziness? I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen. Believe me, a lot of crazy stuff. It's crazy men and crazy women, right? But the fact of the matter is that we really, really have to. I think some of the things that we discussed are correct. We have to get out of fantasy land. And you think that after you have 5 kids and you're going to go, oh, yeah, I'll divorce her. I'm young. I'm 35. I'm good looking. You know what I mean? I have my whole life is in front of me. Yeah, right. Your whole life is in front of me. And you'll pick up another lady and have another 5 kids, and you'll just send out alimony checks. Every month you'll send out alimony checks. Hey, what are you being foolish? Stop watching so much TV. Live life. Live life. See what Chazal tell us about relationships. See how special it is when a man and woman are together and they build a home together. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And there's no greater Ratzon Hashem. And and if you need help, so seek help to make it work. But you got to make it work because it's the most important thing in the world. Okie dokie. I hope anybody else? Okay, Joey.
Rabbi, it's been a minute. I'm very happy I signed on and got to see you and hear you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cordo. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebbe. It was awesome.
Thank you, Rebbe.
Thank you, Yaakov. Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
day,
whoever's.
everybody.
Take care. Go to everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay.